You are listening to Word2Wordz, the Poets Podcast, where two poets come together to share their love for words and those who use them creatively. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Word2Wordz. That's WORD number two, WORDZ. So you will never miss a word from us. Now, let's begin the show. Hello, I'm Dara Kalima, the community poet.
And I'm Tony Two Eyes, the Entreprepoet. And this is Word2Wordz. We are back with another episode of the Poet's favorite podcast. And we thank all of you for being here. So you know how we start. It has to start with a word. And we have something special for you today. The word is called desiccate. And the meaning is to dry up or become dried up, to preserve, as in food, by drying, or to drain of emotional or intellectual vitality. Wow, that last one got me. I was like, how am I gonna relate this to
How
anything? But
about
the
this?
last one.
How about this? The New York Poetry Festival was terrific, but it also desiccated me.
Uh, yes. I felt so desiccated today going into work at 7 a.m. that I didn't know what I was going to do, except for hydrate. I had a bottle of water in the car.
So thank you for this challenging word. What happens with this word? We're gonna use it again later today, right? And we're gonna try to see
Yes.
how many times we can use it throughout the episode.
Yes. So what we ask of you is, you know how poets are. We are energized based off of snaps. So when you hear the word used throughout the episode, just snap wherever you are. It doesn't matter. I know you're not where we are, but we can feel it. So anytime you hear it, and then at the end, you know how we do. We do it off the dome, and desiccate will be part of that, that series. So yes. So that's the word of the day. And if you actually want to submit a poem, or you want to submit a word as well, but if you want to submit a poem using the word desiccate, or maybe desiccate inspired a poem out of you, submit it to us at our email, which will be in the comment.
So the next part that we'll go into is We See You, where we
See you.
highlight poets that are out there doing the daggone thing. And
Mm,
so I struggled this time because this is my favorite part. Like, well, maybe it's not my favorite part, but it's a part I very much enjoy, which is celebrating other poets who were killing it and setting bars and standards for others. So there's a couple we have in the wing that we're going to bring out as time goes on. Last month we talked about Mums the Schema because we lost him in the poetry community, and I thought it was only right to mention him. This time I couldn't choose between these two totally awesome women. So we're going to say we see you to both Chanel Gabriel and Lyrical Faith.
we
So,
see you.
so Chanel, so funny story. I actually met Chanel and Lyrical Faith at the same organization, not the same event, the same organization. Chanel and I were on a panel through the New York Urban League Young Professionals where we were discussing performance and the art of recitation and public speaking.
Mhm.
So it was me, her, and another poet, but he wasn't performing as poet. He was talking about public speaking 101 and how you use your body and share with people.
Mhm.
So she and I were on that panel together, and we got to know each other a little bit, and she was totally cool and chill. And then we've crossed paths at other Urban League events, and we always say hi and all that stuff. Great stuff. But what I didn't know about her, and I found out more about this year, is that one, she is a lupus warrior. She is. Well, I did know that she's a singer, so she oftentimes mixes her music with her poetry with her singing, which is
Okay.
super dope. It's a skill I do not have. She's a poet, she's an educator, and in the last like month, it has been announced that she is now the executive director of Urban Word NYC. Now, what is Urban Word NYC? It is a nonprofit organization here in New York that does spoken word with the youth, right? But the special thing about them is that they're the ones who actually founded the Youth Poet Laureate program, which means Amanda Gorman is a direct beneficiary of the work of Urban Word NYC. So Chanel is doing amazing work in the community. She's also just a killer poet in her own right. So I wanted to say, I see you, Chanel. Keep being amazing. Keep making a difference for this next group of poets. And just congratulations to you.
That's a BFD. That's a big freaking deal.
Exactly.
Congrats, Chanel.
And so Lyrical Faith, I also met through the Urban League.
Lyrical? I know her.
She's also a Bronxite, so you know we gotta say that.
Gotta put up
and it's funny because our paths have not crossed multiple times. It has crossed multiple times, but we both went to NYU. We're both part of the Urban League. We're both from the Bronx. There's about 4 points of connection that we have, which is kind of ridiculous, right? But she is the founder of the Black Greek Poets. So everyone's welcome to join them and listen in and participate in their events. But if you're a Black Greek and a poet, you need to definitely check out and join this organization. She's the co-founder of Harlem Bomb Shelter, which is a safe haven for poets to perform and to grow. They actually have a new class coming out in a couple of weeks. And the new news, I mean, I have to say I'm a little sad because I was hoping to be a winner, but that's okay. If I have to lose to somebody, it is worth it to lose to Lyrical Faith. She won the 2021 Brio Awards, which is the Bronx recognizes its own award. It is a prestigious award that there's like hundreds of people who actually apply, and about 20 to 40 people get it. And when I say hundreds, I mean like 200 to 300 people apply for this, and very few people get it. Very few poets get it. So you're talking about a very small portion of people who actually win this award. She won it in 19, and she just won it again in 21. So I see you.
Double?
Because you can't win a year behind you. If you won 1 year, you can't apply the next year. So, but she applied again, and look at her, still knocking it out, still winning. And let's talk about how fly this woman is. She is also a PhD candidate. What? So I just want to say, Lyrical Faith, I see you.
I see you. I see you. I saw you. I knew what she was doing before. Like I think she featured, actually, she was the first feature at Word Vomit.
Oh, wow.
She was the first feature. I saw her somewhere, and I was like, yo, if we actually can get her to headline, like, this would be so dope. So we reached out to her, and she accepted, and it was a dope event.
Isn't she like the 6th top world poet as well, or something like that? This is World Poets. This is World Poets competition that happened a couple of months ago, and she's definitely in the top 10. I don't remember where, and it may just be of the female poets. I don't really know, so I don't want to degrade where her ranking is, but she definitely is in the single digits of the top poets in the world per this competition. So she's just killing it. This is her year. Yeah. So next year I'm gonna apply for that competition, and maybe the competition will be a little easier.
I'm just gonna hold on to my digital file of the first flyer that I made, with her on it. I mean, like, yeah, this was her. I knew her.
She's gonna keep going and growing. So to Chanel and to Lyrical Faith, I just wanted to say we see you. You are doing amazing things here in New York, but also the impact you have clearly is impacting the whole world. So keep being amazing poets that you are.
Yes, and you don't hear it that often, but we see you. We see you doing the thing, and we see all of the things that you have accomplished. Wow.
And so we will put their information in the comments so that you can actually find ways to follow them, because they are doing the daggone thing, and you need to be following these women.
Most definitely. Now, today is the 26th. We're recording this, but we're going to be releasing this on someone's birthday. I don't know whose birthday it is, but let me stop playing. It's the amazing co-host here, Dara Kalima. So I'm gonna have to, represent for everybody else that just loves them some Dara and actually say happy birthday to her. So happy birthday to you. Let me go baritone now. Happy birthday to you. Now let me go soprano. Happy birthday, dear Dara. Alto. Happy birthday to you. Oh, oh. Just play all those
I
together.
was like, that's not in the script. What are you doing?
You'll get a choir if you just took all of those and put them together. It would be all in tune.
It wouldn't work because they would be singing different parts of the song.
Exactly. But it's okay. It's a mashup. But happy birthday to you. Celebrating your 23rd birthday. It's all good. You celebrate based off of looks here. Okay. So 23 is a good number, good year, so much success and great joy with these years that you have been here. I know you're doing a lot of things and you're making your imprint on the world. And if not on the world, on me. So I thank you. And I hope your birthday, although it's not today, when you do celebrate it, it is a great joy and that you have, time with yourself to pamper yourself, do something,
I'll be
sending
I was
something.
getting drinks and getting hijacked by somebody in Jersey, but I guess I was wrong about that, huh?
Well, plus the word hijacked, I can't tell you that I'm hijacked. Did I told you I was hijacking you? God.
No.
Okay.
There's no actual proof of that other than this recording now.
Oops. Okay.
We'll edit that part out later.
So we have an amazing show for you today. So we're going to continue to keep this energy and keep this vibe going. But do send Dara some birthday, shout outs when you do listen to this. Go to her Instagram at Callie's Camera, KALISKAMERA.
You do that so much better than I do. There was this whole, I don't know if you saw this. I'm gonna sidetrack us for a second, but that's the whole point of this whole experience, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole meme thing going around right now about if there was an adult spelling bee, what word would get you knocked out?
I heard a joke that was similar to that, but go ahead.
I mean, like, I'd have to look it up and I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick fast because I totally responded to this.
Yeah.
But like the words that people chose, I'm amazed that no one said Wednesday or library because everyone wants to say library and they're wrong, very wrong about that. But like some of the words were just like supposed or like what would be your word, Tony?
It will probably be one of those like receive, believe ones. I probably would do the I before the E. I'll be confident too. I'll be like BLEIVE. That's the right way? That is actually the right way, right? Yeah, I would probably do the wrong way under pressure.
Yeah, for me, what did I respond on it? I responded saying something like forest always messes me up.
Forest, dessert or desert.
It's exactly what I wrote. I was like, I don't know. There's definitely gonna be some words that knock me out of this real quick, fast. Like, let's see. I found it. I was
just about to fill in.
Well, no, say the answer.
So, he died, but Patrice O'Neal, he's a comedian, and he did something. He was like, if somebody had a gun to your mother, and they were like, "Yo, I'm gonna shoot if you get this word wrong, man, spell restaurant."
Someone had restaurant on the list.
And he was like, "Ma, I love you. Just know that I love you." He was like, RESTO. This is where it gets to the tricky part. It was hilarious. I laughed so hard. Go ahead now.
I mean, so some of the answers were definitely. Someone said restaurant, and I think it is actually a picture of him saying it.
Oh yeah, that's probably it.
Conscious. Me when they ask me to spell conscious, and it's like a meme going like this. Constitution, and we know a lot of people would lose on capital, right? This person totally jacked up the spelling of specific as they wrote it. So they did SPESFIC.
Or principal. Which principal?
I mean, seriously, someone did fillet, and they had the picture of Pale sweating.
Debut.
I mean, they did have Wednesday, because everyone says Wednesday, like to consciously get how to spell it.
Yeah.
And then they had desperate and separate, but I figured the trick for desperate and separate keeps the A's apart.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they separate.
I used to mess that one up, but now it's in memory now.
It's not in memory, but
also on autocorrect. I couldn't tell you if I actually spell it right or not. Because Google does all of that work for me.
True, but there's kernel and kernel. And then the one that actually totally would get me, that someone put refrigerator. And someone was like, I definitely had a D in it. And I'm like, every time there is a D in it. And then someone else put this other one, which is ridiculous, but it's so true. And you're gonna laugh at it. Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
But you know how I do it wrong? I'm out myself right now. I do MISSISSIPPISS.
I know, because there was a song that we MISSISSIPPI.
But I end up going SS because I've already done double SS each time. Those Mississippi's.
Oh wow. Yeah. So everyone that's listening, please in the comments or whatever on IG, please drop which word would mess you up in a spelling bee. Which one would knock you out? Or, if you want to turn up the heat, if someone had a gun to your head and said, hey, you have to spell it, or I'm pulling the trigger if you don't spell it right. So that's kind of morbid, but it's okay. Somebody did it first. Please put it in the comments, and we would like to hear it. We probably are going to take this section and post it. So please put this in the comments so that we can hear what words, would knock you out the box. So speaking of words.
I was going to say, since you mentioned holding a gun to your head, I got a poem for you.
Oh, okay. Hopefully it ain't about holding a gun to somebody.
It's not gun to your
head. Who knows with Dara?
Guns go pop, 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 right?
Yeah.
So even though you just shouted me out for my birthday, this is not like a happy birthday poem celebrating me, which I totally should have done, but I wasn't ready because you just straight surprising people with stuff. I
have to. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do for your birthday?
It's a good thing I'm black, because you couldn't see the blushing that was trying to happen.
I saw it.
Ready? Crispies. Snap goes next. That experience whiplash at the sound. It all happened in a snap. Crack goes the hearts and minds and households of those left behind. It all known now cracked. Pop, 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 pop goes the gun. Pop goes the life. Pop goes the dreams. Pop goes pops, mom, bro, sis, cuz, fam, homie, baby. Pop goes those with brown skin, and the killer, the shooter, they're systematically trained, inspired, designed, fortified. The snap, crackle, pop, fed at breakfast and consumed by dinner. There are no winners, no prizes in the box, just bodies boxed. Pop, then crack, then snap.
I am structured. My skeleton be stanzas. My language be cadence. And my form be infinite. My muscular composition be metaphors. Blood be vocab. running through vascular system in veins and lines, while my heart be passion, pumping rhythm and rhymes in these words I prescribe, my cells be repetition, repeating repeatedly throughout this body, with syllables being physical, my genetics be audible, my life be literature, and time is a mere run-on sentence that only ends in a appropriate punctuation. But until then, I be freedom in minds when they decide to create poetry.
Wow. I've not
Snap,
heard that one
snap,
before.
snap. That is, you have.
I have?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you when. It was for your workshop, your structured workshop. It was the Poetics 8, and I promised you that I was going to write 3, and you was like, this doesn't count. This is free, and because I picked Poetics 8 as the first one, I think, or the second one, and you was like, that doesn't count. You're not doing the structured ones, but yeah.
So that reminds me, you still owe me a structured poem, right?
I think so. I think I have all 3.
No, I think you were you had to do me a new poem because you did the Poetics 8. I don't think I ever saw the final poem.
I see Ovi.
I don't know.
And that was the Poetics 8. I know I satisfied it because I knew
know
I wouldn't hear the last of it if I didn't. So
I know I don't remember
satisfied.
hearing it satisfied. See, this is why we're doing a podcast, y'all, because this is how we interact in real life. And you have to forgive my voice right now because we spent the entire weekend, and I am 1000%, maybe 10,000% an introvert, even though you would not necessarily believe it and people don't, but that's okay. So we spent all weekend talking to people because we were at the New York Poetry Festival out at Governor's Island. Tony was sitting there making open mics at his table, performing nonstop. I have to say, I was thinking about our conversation in the car about how you did your table. And I actually really enjoyed and was impressed by the way you pull people over by making, like, you want to read a poem? Want me to read you a poem? So I thought that was really cool how you engaged with them.
Thank you. I mean, I was like, I don't like feeling like I am one of many. Like, and I'm humble. And when I say that, I'm humble when I say that. But it's just the feeling of like being one of many. It's like traffic. I hate traffic because I feel like I'm just sitting still and I'm just one of many that are trying to get to the same place. And it's like, no, I'm trying to get to my home. And I don't like sitting here amongst. So when I was sitting at the table and I'm like, okay, so I'm just supposed to let people come over here. And I'm like, no, I'm going to call them out. They're here for poetry. Let me see if I can feed their demand. Supply their demand. There we go. But thank you. I hope also, because we were next to each other, hopefully pulling them over and then, mentioning Poetics University, it pulls them over. Because a lot of people was walking past us. It was like, oh, we're at the end of the road because we were where we were.
We were placed at the very beginning. We were actually the first vendor table,
or the end, depends on where they are in the process.
True, but yes, but like if you're coming in from the ferry, we were sitting right by the entrance in theory.
Yeah.
So as people came in, they were not necessarily ready to buy; they were ready to see, and so they often walked right past us before they got into the swing of buying and participating that way. So that ended up being a little bit to our detriment. Not so much because when I think about it, and when we were talking about how well Carla was doing, when I sat down yesterday and really tallied what I did, I was like, okay, all right. It was a solid event.
I know. Then you sent me, solid 8. I knew the calculations came in. I was like,
after I did the math,
she went from a maybe 7 to a definite solid 8. I was like, okay, she just tallied up those numbers, did those multipliers, and came to that conclusion, that net. That net.
I mean, it was so saying that, right? Like it was even, and I think like some people thought it was less full than before. Definitely Sundays. Apparently, their trend is that it's less people, but
Yeah.
also because of that rain, you overheard multiple times people say that they were going to come, but so and so's not coming now because of the weather. So
Yeah.
the weather forecast, even though it was ended up being
It
lovely,
was lovely. Yeah.
did not work well for us because when people were going to need to motivate, it was overcast and rainy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, "Yeah, I'm done." And then like 5 minutes later, no more rain.
Yeah.
So that's how.
So
But yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So the New York City Poetry Festival, I think someone said it was the 10th anniversary. It was both of
I
ours
think so.
first time of being there. It
Yeah.
was Tony's first time as a poetry vendor. So kudos to you
Yeah.
for doing it so well.
Thank
It was
you.
an honor to be next to you for that. And I've been doing vending a lot, but it's interesting because I've never been at a vendor at a poetry specific event.
Mm.
But what's true is that Still Laughing sold the most. And Still Laughing
Wow.
sold the most, which is my memoir,
Yeah.
at a poetry event.
Wow. I saw a few times, and of course I had to cover the table a couple of times, and people gravitated towards that book, and I think it's the color, the color scheme that you used in the cover, like really stood out. I think one person even thought it was a graphic
Novel.
comic or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, you did a comic book, and but I think it captures people's attention, and it's great. I mean, I started reading it. I know what's in it, and for you to be able to bounce from poetry to a memoir is just it's like, yeah. And I was gonna say something else about you. uh, since today is your birthday in the future. Kind of
Or in
some
the
Loki.
past,
This is
depending when people listen to
kind of
this.
some Loki type of stuff. You know, we're
It's gonna be the future, the past, and the present. It's my birthday in this episode. Whenever you listen to it, so if you listen to
yeah.
it in 5 months from now, happy birthday to me! Thank you for listening.
So the only I think one of the things that contributed to the success that I had at the event is because she gave me the boot camp 101 of how to vend and what I need and make sure I have this and how many book stands do you have and do you have a cloth, one cloth for this if it rains and one cloth for that if you want to double it and how are you getting there? Do you have she came out with the transformer of all gadgets for this event. She had a dolly that went the size of a wallet. She had the container that shrunk down to the size of a, a shoebox but could hold all your textbooks from college. Like she came she came out with like 5 gizmos, and I was like, "How is all of that going to fit in the car?" She was like, "It's okay, just put the contents in, and it breaks down, and I can put it in my back pocket." And I was like, "Okay, now this is ridiculous." And then it actually did. She didn't put it in her back pocket. She just put it in the car, but I'm exaggerating. I'm like the kids in Rugrats. I saw how this thing broke down, and it was the most amazing story. So, so I want to thank you for for showing me how you really vend when you vend.
Yeah, there's a whole kit to it. There's a whole science to it. There's math to it. Maybe we should talk about that in a future episode.
We should. We should. If you
Make a note
think
of
we
that.
should, put it in the comments.
Let us
Um,
know, and we
let
will
us
bring that
know.
topic in. Especially since there's some events coming up soon. Um, but
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Yeah.
It's definitely an important key that people need to know. And you saw what one of my wins were, and it was something told to me the first time I went to Bend. I don't know who told me. I wish I knew. I wish I don't. I wish I knew who to credit for it. But
Mm,
always have a low selling item on your table because
yeah.
that makes a difference. They may like you, even if they don't like what you're selling, and they may
Yeah.
just buy the low item
Yeah.
just as a point of support. So
I'm
that's
going
the
to
one tip that I'll
definitely.
give. We can talk about this in another episode
Yeah. I'm definitely
if you want to
going.
hear more.
going to have something small to give because I love that. That was actually a good strategy. So, but where are we in
We
this
are,
episode?
I
Oh,
want you to tell me
okay.
what's inspiring your pen.
Inspiring my pen. So I just finished an amazing poem today in traffic. Um, it's actually called masculinity, and it's going to. So that's what's inspiring my pen right now, and
What inspired that poem?
masculinity. So the title is called masculinity, but also the thought of masculinity and how it relates to my life and how the things that I have dealt with, and also seeing things that people deal with, kind of was absorbed and put into that poem. But it is one of the topics that kind of go unnoticed, or not unnoticed, but it's something that gets lost and put to the back burner because of all of these other kind of topics that are up against men. So, in order to address this, it would then take them from being usually the assailant to then, in order to deal with these, you would have to also see the male as a victim as well of our society, and that's something that's usually not dealt that's not done. But with more men actually being real with themselves and understanding that, you know before they are male they are human. Before you even actually get, I'm going to go biology, before you actually even get a identifier, you are actually just a human, like embryo, and then the identifier comes into play. And so I always push that you have to recognize that you are human first, that you have the right, and you should have the accessibility to all of the things of being human: emotions, feelings, expression, um, and there's a list of other things too. So, but these things always, when we are inside of a society that has pressures, that has standards, that has ways of using media to kind of guide what people think and what people do, you kind of lose that idea that you naturally are someone that does not have to conform to certain barriers and certain guidelines that are placed on us. So that's where that poem comes, and I will be probably doing a recording for that one after I perfect it and remember it, because it's one of those ones that I don't want to read. It's one of the ones that I need to be able to put the emotions behind. So that is also going. It's not just that poem. I am also working on a book that would also have that same tone, talking about being a male and also touching on kind of what you did, the intersection of being black and male, which is a totally different thing.
Cool. Thank you.
Now, how about you?
So I'm not really writing right now. I have some personal stuff to work through
Hmm.
before I can get to writing what I want to write. But so there's two things that are inspiring me a little bit right now. One was a point of frustration. Someone who I just met, totally cool, made a comment that was just it's a comment I get anytime I walk into almost any store that sells feminine wear.
Hmm.
And it was just like, you need a better bra. And I was just like,
This
yeah.
is the
So
salesperson.
no, this is actually a new friend
Oh,
who said that. And they were just trying to like help me with my style and whatever. But that was their first comment. And I'm just like, hmm. So today I wrote a very short poem
I don't need a
because
new bra.
no, so
Period.
no, it wasn't that, but I just pointed out that gravity will be the winner.
Mm.
I
No
wrote
matter
a
what.
exactly. I wrote a very short poem about gravity because I think when we say things to people, if we don't know them well enough, we don't know their history, we don't know their sensitivities, we
Mm.
don't know what they experience, right? And we don't know their bodies or whatever the capabilities of that, right? We tend to say something that seems harmless or possibly helpful or with the intention of being helpful. But you don't like it's even like when you get a name, right?
Mm.
My name is Dara. But do
Dara.
you know how many times I get not even that? I get Dora the Explorer.
Oh yeah.
And people think they're clever when they say it. But you're not clever when everyone says it.
Yeah.
You was just being clever for yourself, but trust me, it has been done enough times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of that same thing where to me, I'm like, you don't know enough to know about the situation that comes with being top heavy or having this type of body or why I may be limping today or whatever's happening. So I just think it was, but I was just thinking about, I wasn't mad at her and I'm still not really mad at what happened, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, the fact of the matter is when you don't have this type of body, you also don't know what it means to maintain this type of body. And therefore you don't know how well gravity works
Mm-hmm.
because gravity does a number. It does a number on your knees. It does a number on your bras. I'm just gonna put that out there. so, so I did. That was the last thing that inspired a poem that I
Mm-hmm.
could write, but it was literally like this short of a poem where I just go into like, there's nothing that's gonna defy gravity in the long run.
Yeah.
You know, rockets can't defy gravity really because if they stop propelling forward, they're coming down. That's what I gotta say about that. But also, what's inspiring me, and it's funny because so you and I met this poet yesterday named RSVP,
Yes.
and he was really dope. He was really great to speak to. We had a great conversation and we're laughing. I don't know what you guys thought about, but he and I laughed about our hermit tendencies. And then I walked back past him. So I want to correct myself on air, even though you didn't know I said it wrong yesterday. But I wanted to like make sure I quote this man's book correctly. So as I was going to the bathroom yesterday during the event, I I walked past RSVP
Mm-hmm.
and I said to him, well, before I said it to him, yesterday I said to you, you were talking about where the people were, and I was saying, oh, they're listening to the poet. I said his name of his book wrong. So yesterday at the I'm trying to say all the wrong events, the New York City Poetry Festival, the feature headline on Sunday was Terrence Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone who kept saying, oh, Terrence Hayes is performing today. Terrence Hayes is performing today. I really want to see him. And I didn't really know who Terrence Hayes was. But then our mutual friend years ago, we've only been doing this a year. A mutual friend of ours a year ago introduced me to his work. And
Okay.
so the book that he has that has really propelled him forward is from 2018, American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassin. I said
Mm.
the name wrong, but that's actually the name of the book by Terrence Hayes, American Sonnets for My Past and Future Assassins. So I have those. I have that book. I haven't gotten a chance to read it because I'm still working on Her, which is written by you.
Her. Shout
so,
out to her.
which is a
The
really
book.
great book. And I'm not saying that just because you're my partner in this, but like Her is actually I've enjoyed. I mean, I've always been at the readings. I enjoy what I hear typically, but I've actually really been enjoying the reading of it. But
Oh.
that said, as Terrence was taking the stage, I was running to the bathroom and I was going to get food. So I was like, man, I'm going to miss this guy who everyone is like. But
Mm-hmm.
that's also the best time to do bio breaks because everyone else is busy, so no one's really coming to your table at the time.
Exactly. And the
So
bathroom is not.
it was not next door.
It was not. No, I mean there was no line. There
Yeah,
shouldn't
there
be a
was no
line.
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it was a hike to get there. It was a hike to get food. So that was really the time to actually run and do that. So I didn't really get to listen to a lot of his stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
as I was walking, I ran into RSVP and I was like, yeah, oh, you're about to. I said, just so you know, Terrence Hayes is taking the stage right now. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I've heard him before. He goes, the best thing about these events is you get inspired. And he showed me his little notebook that had words written on it.
Oh wow.
So the other things that are inspiring me today, if you can see the screen, if you can't see the screen, I'm holding this one upside down, are the other poets who were at the festival. I got to see some poets I haven't seen in years. I got to get a lot of hugs from people, and I got to inspire a bunch of poets too. So I got Scott Raven's latest book, which is the Everything Bagel. I
Oh.
used Scott Raven used to be a host at one of the venues I went to, so
Mhm.
I love Scott. He usually writes in sonnets, which is just sonnets, but with his name on it. But he's a really dope poet, so you
I
need
was
to check
like, what
him
did he
out.
mix with that?
Because he's Scott with three T's, just so you know. It's not just Scott with two T's. He's Scott with three
You know,
T's.
I
It's like
love
you
it
got two eyes.
when you just start multiplying consonants. That's what I love.
He's like a
Mine is a
really
vowel though.
he gets a lot of he's a really great poet. I'm just gonna say that. So then I got the chapbook of Felix Guzman, who's really, if you ever get to hear this man live, he is really, really talented. He's actually a friend of mine too. But this is his chapbook, Savage Garden, Concrete Jungle, a
Mhm.
chapbook to remember me by. And then one of the volunteers there, and I kept striking up conversation, Gianna Valdez. She's also working on her next book. I bought the last copy of her book.
Oh wow. Okay.
There's, I don't know if, I hope she has a personal one for herself. I felt kind of bad that I bought this from her. But
If
like
you
the
don't
first
have frayed edges or and
no, but
bent
there's like,
pages, then that's not the one. That's
I
not her
think she had a
personal.
limited print, and so I bought it from her because this is really what I read in it so far was really cool.
Yeah.
And so the poets who were there, there were the two women that were talking at your table, and
Mhm.
then they came to my table, and I had them chanting, "I am a poet," before they, I mean, I'm a writer, before they ever left the table. I was like, wait, it was nice meeting you again, and you are, and then she said her name. I was like, that's not what I want to know. I know your name. I
And
want to
you
know who
are.
you are. So having those conversations with those writers who are learning, owning their name, growing, the people who have done the books, the people who are doing the books, you know, the fact of the matter is, and the biggest thing I said to a lot of those people who were aspiring is that, I say this knowing what a lot of other people say. A lot of people in the writing world always point out that you have to read, and you do have to read. You have to
Yeah.
read. You not only have to read to absorb new information, but you also read, you read the copy edit page, you read who it's dedicated to, you read
Mhm.
every word in a book to see how they are doing the book, what is
Mhm.
important. You learn a lot about the author, you learn about their printing houses, you learn about these things as you read every piece of the book, right? I've had to
Yeah.
learn to read every piece of the book to study the book. So you're studying the words, you're studying the story, you're studying the impact, but you're also studying the book itself if you plan on putting one out.
Mhm.
But also, in addition to reading, you have to listen, you have to just live life.
Mhm.
All of that is inspiring your work. I wrote a poem a couple of weeks ago that had something to do with a moment that happened when I was like 9 that made no sense. Like, there's no reason why I would write about that, but it popped into my head to add into a poem, because everything you do in living is studying for your writing craft. But
Yeah.
you have to be intentional in absorbing what's happening around you. You can't just be living and not absorb what those moments felt like. Like, what did it feel like to really be anxious in a moment? Like, and
Mhm.
then how do you translate that? What did it feel like to be really joyful or to be really randy, you know?
Mhm.
Like, think of those moments in your life and really put yourself back there, because then when you are present in your writing, people who are listening to it will know that. And
Mhm.
so the things that are inspiring my future pen at this moment, because I'm not really writing, I did not successfully do my 30 and 30 in July. So I am moving it to August,
Okay.
so that I can actually do it, because I don't like failing at 30 and 30s. It was okay.
Or anything.
I needed the reprieve. I needed the reprieve. Things have gotten real. This point in life is a nothing going forward is going to be the same as how I feel at this
Yeah.
moment. And
Mhm.
so I had to have a moment to acknowledge that. And then I'll start writing about that when I get to the other side of it.
Yeah. That's how you do it.
But that's what's really inspiring my thoughts. So maybe I'm not writing a lot. Maybe I'm only writing short poems about gravity for the moment. But generally speaking, it's the conversations we had this week. And so even if I didn't sell any money, but if I convinced some writers to identify themselves as writers, if I didn't sell any money,
Selling any
I'm not selling
books.
money.
I was about to. She's not selling money, y'all. Okay.
Oh, that's called laundering, and that's a whole problem.
Not selling money, y'all.
I'm not doing counterfeit money. We're not laundering anything. I'm just gonna put that
Yeah.
out there so everyone knows that it's not what I do. But if I'm
Yeah.
not selling books, that would still be fine if I can inspire another
Yeah.
writer, and that's what's inspiring my pen. As I inspire you, you inspire me.
Right. And to the fact that you haven't been writing, is not the pen inside or within the writer before it ever leaks in the physical realm?
You trying to write a poem right now?
Yeah, I was trying to
I
write a
don't
poem.
like you.
But yeah, the pen exists within us before it actually ever manifests onto a, you know, into our hand. So that's the beauty. That's the amazing gift that we have as writers. So yeah. So we're gonna take a break and hear from our sponsor, right?
Yep.
Let's see. Maybe we can go brew something. I don't know. Today's episode is brought to you by Dainty Company, the only tea company that gives you the liberty to tea to your taste. I don't know about you, but I like to see my tea ingredients. I want to see the leaves look like leaves and not just a bunch of twigs and dust in a bag. So Dainty gives you that satisfaction plus more with every tea kit containing 5 tubes filled with quality loose leaf tea and botanicals where you can mix and match the ingredients to your liking. It's like having your own little tea alchemy kit. So go order your first tea kit right now at www.daintyco.com. And that is DAINTEACO.com. And use the code WORD at checkout to get 10% off. So that's the tea. Let's get back to the words.
So wait, let me just check. So the tea itself is desiccated, but once you add the water, it
It's
comes back to
hydrated.
life. There we go.
Okay, snap for desiccation. Okay.
So, we put a post out asking, "What do you want to know?" And actually, so what you may not know if you're new to us in terms of Tony Two Eyes and Dara Kalima, if you haven't been watching all the many other things our hands are in, we recently had an event called Publish Me Stories. And so, because people know us to do a lot of things, I think the questions that were coming to us were more tied to Publish Me and not so much Word2Wordz.
Yeah.
Because one of the responses we received was essentially they were thinking about self-publishing their own book, or they're thinking about publishing a book again, and they wanted to just know more information. But the other question required a little bit more digging, and I don't have it in front of me, but I can tell you, wow, I know the person personally, but now I don't know what their what their I know what the question is. I know what it's pertaining to, but I don't know what their handle is off the top of my head. So maybe if you find it, you can say it. Or what would you? Oh, it's on my wall. It's not on this wall. I gotta go to my wall.
It's on the page?
It's on my page, so I have to go find it.
Oh.
But she's actually a friend of mine in poetry. We perform often together, doing her handle is Afani or Afani Poet on IG. She's a really amazing poet. She's actually a really great actress. But we've performed together at a fundraiser for a number of years. So that is how I know her. And the question was essentially about platforms in which you can self-publish.
Okay.
Because she seems to have come from a point of create space, and create space no longer exists. So if you were publishing like 3 years ago, when did 2X Chromosomes come out? 2X Chromosomes came out in 2019. So in 2019, actually, because I had to change platforms in the middle of doing the book.
Yeah.
Like I started it on Create Space, and then the next time I went back to it, they were like, "Oh, we're changing."
Yeah, I published right at the time that they went to the new platform.
So you
So
never did Create
because
Space.
they said because the link that I went to, because I searched, of course, where how to self publish. So I went to Create Space first, and they were like, "Oh, we're moving over to keep KDF KDP."
KDP.
Yeah,
So here's the
yeah.
thing between those two. If you did Create Space before, KDP looks really intimidating. And I know that
Yeah.
because I had to jump immediately in the middle of that next project. So my first two books were done on Create Space, and my next two books were done on KDP.
Yeah.
So if you're used to KDP, if you're used to Create Space, KDP does seem intimidating. It does seem like it has, and it is some ways. They do have less things on it. So like on Create Space, you had a whole host of backgrounds and book covers you could use. There's not as many on KDP.
Hmm.
And I think Katie Create Space was better at sort of giving you resources to fill the gaps. So some of those things that you as an independent publisher still want to have complete control over, but you don't necessarily have those skills to do.
Yeah.
I think Create Space was better at bridging that gap. And that seemed to be the background of that question, because she's done it before, but she doesn't know the place on Amazon. So in some ways you have a better answer to this question than I do in terms of how do you do formatting, because but you don't. So I had to actually ask a friend. I had to dial a friend like it was a game show and say, does it do this? So a
Mm.
friend of mine actually started publishing her book this year. She has a series of novellas coming out through
Mhm.
through KDP. And what is, the answer, the name of it though? What is is it KDP Creator?
Um, you talk what you have on your computer.
Yeah.
It
What's the
is
program?
called KDB Kindle Create.
Okay, Kindle Create. So, sorry, Kindle Create. Actually, if you just put your document in, if you put your section breaks in the document, if you put a Word document in and you just put the section breaks in, KDP or Kindle Create, if you're doing it not the way you do, because you put in the PDF, right?
Yeah, the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's two ways to upload. You could upload a PDF or you can use their creator completely. If you put in a Word document, it'll actually format your book for you. It'll even do the drop cases, which is like the first letter of a chapter being bigger if you want it. You see it in a lot of traditional publishing. People do it, don't do it. It's an old school thing. It's not. I actually used it for this is the first ebook I did that way. And so, but I had everything else in it, so I didn't need to rely on them on everything. But you can actually have them format your front matter and your back matter. So you can do a section that's acknowledgments and put it straight into the program. You can do a section that is your copyright page, all of that. You can do that in that program. So it can format your book for you like a true book without you needing to have any particular skills at formatting. My friend, who I love and adore and would do anything for, is fascinatingly computer savvy and completely not. and and so but she's one of those people who's like, I'm gonna do it myself. So
Mhm.
rather than ask me what I did, she went and started using this, and then she had to teach me a little bit when I came to put my book in Kindle.
Mm.
So I would recommend checking out the, what is it called again, the Kindle
Kindle
Create.
Create.
Kindle Create, which will get you through those steps and you don't have to worry about outsourcing. But there
Yeah.
are also companies that will just lay out your book. It all depends on how much money you're looking to spend. So the free version is Kindle Create. You don't have to pay them anything. You just do it and you just plug and play. You follow the steps. And that's still less intimidating than the rest of the Kindle KDP process. But
Hmm.
if you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out to us and ask us about that. Or if you just have questions about um, this process, Tony has 2i Publishing. I have been independently publishing my work for the last 4 books. So we kind of have an idea and a pulse. And he does the things that I don't do, in terms of there's one rule that you should do if you want to make the most money that he does that I don't, which is to publish both through Ingram Sparks and through, it's Ingram, right? It's one of them.
Hmm.
Um, and Amazon, because Amazon eats your money when it goes through other locations.
Yeah.
And that's
I
something
mean,
that's
it eats
different.
your money the other one. I mean, it's
Differently.
it's a like, so in order to have a larger distribution, the other places do not pay retail price for your book. So they usually only pay about 60% at most for your book. So if it's Barnes and Nobles, they're actually only paying 60% at most for your book, or 55. So
But it's still better. According to everything I've read, it's better. Now, so the reason why it's better is this. Is because if you do it on Amazon and you do global distribution, it's still going to Ingram Sparks. So you're losing
no, it
money.
doesn't.
That's what I've heard.
No.
Then who does it
Well, I
go
mean,
to?
I don't know what you mean by Ingram Sparks. It can't. It's not going to go into their catalog where you can actually go
So
into.
what maybe I'm wrong. What I've read in
Yeah,
past articles was that for people to for Barnes and Nobles to still get it, they're still passing through Ingram Sparks to get through Amazon. So Amazon is not straight selling it to Barnes and Noble, which is why there's so much overhead on a third party sell.
yeah. I couldn't tell
So
you
yeah,
specifically, so I wouldn't.
whatever general stores that companies are using to get through the bigger distribution, they're passing. Amazon is a pass through, but it's not them that's actually holding it. So
Yeah,
that's why you actually lose so much revenue, is because Amazon is still off, is sending it somewhere else, and then that other places where everyone's going.
yeah,
So that ends up eating a lot more of your revenue. Whereas per book, even if you're losing money to an extent because of how it's costing through other distributors, you're cutting out the Amazon part of that equation, and therefore your revenue is more. So oftentimes, a lot of schools of thoughts will say do both. Put it on Amazon because then you'll make the most money out of Amazon sales, but only localize it to Amazon so that it can go. And then you do it on Ingram Sparks, you get more revenue where it goes when it goes through those other places that buy it.
exactly. Yeah,
So we know some stuff. We've been doing this for a few years. Between the two of us, we probably have 50,000 years of experience, only because we've gotten, at least I've gotten a couple of grays from
no,
the experience. So even if it's not,
on
um,
claim, on
um,
claim, no.
even if it's not that we've been doing it for a million years ourselves, but I've been doing this for the last 6 years. Can you believe my first book came out 6.5 years ago?
Wow,
Yeah. And I put out a book every 2 years. So that's about right.
wow,
so, so
resume.
exactly. So that said, yeah. So if you have questions about the industry, if you have questions about how to write, what inspires, if you just need advice on what to write about, let us know. If you just have questions,
Yeah,
we'll just
let us
answer them,
know.
whatever they are. Just throw them our way. But
We
go get your
definitely.
books out there because the world needs them.
Also, you can schedule a consultation with 2i Publishing if you would like, and we do go over the different options in more detail. So it's not just about joining the company, but it's also about letting you know your options as well. And there's value in that, and there's no commitment or anything like that. So yeah,
So since we didn't really have a lot of questions today, um, is there any words of wisdom you would like to share?
words of wisdom.
I mean, that was the questions in the emails, but I didn't know if you had any additional words of wisdom
Yeah,
you
let
could
me.
share.
So I would say whatever you're doing in the writing industry, know that it is a step. So when you go into it and when you're also enduring it, know that it is a step at all times. So don't get discouraged because you actually stepped onto the first step and then you're like, oh, I'm not at the top, but you're not at the bottom anymore, neither. So understand that everything that you do in writing is a step towards the top. And you can't be knocked back down unless you actually quit. So if you write and you get published in one book and then you try for other ones and you don't get it, it's not that you have failed now. It's not that you're back at square one. You're now published in one book, and that is something to actually celebrate. And then until your next thing that you do, maybe you and then maybe even don't try to just step the same way. Try to step a different way. Maybe if you get published in an anthology, maybe you want to step out and then try to self-publish your book. And maybe if you are also trying to submit your work to large publishing companies, maybe try a different step. Maybe that's too many steps that you're trying to take. And just understand this step concept that everything that you're doing in writing, and it's writing specifically because writing is not, oh, you write the great piece and then you are a millionaire. No, it's like you have to build up your resume of writing. And I mean, if you look at a successful writer, you're going to see that they've been published in this, in this, in this, and that's why even when you get to like even teachers or professors, they always quote where they're published in because they wrote material that they are writers, you know, in their own as right, where they are writing in the educational field. You're writing in your field, which would be poetry or nonfiction. But always understand that it's a step in the right direction, and just keep writing, keep submitting your stuff, keep learning, keep being active in a writing community, whether it's Poetics University or whether you're at a a local writers guild or writers club that meets at the bar, you know, every Tuesday. You are learning because you are being around other people and you are growing as well and you're stepping. So please do make the steps. Understand that you're always in a step, and you're don't get discouraged, don't quit, and keep expressing yourself.
Awesome. So, are there any frustrations that are happening with you and the writing community right now?
Why would I go next? I just did all of that talking. You go.
No, I'll go
I'm
last.
frustrated by having to speak last time and then now having to speak this time. But I think you spoke first, I guess, on word of wisdom. So frustration. The only thing I would be talking about would be from the event that just happened. So let's see here. Uh, it happened again where there was a lot of talking. It was like, yo, just give me the poem. But we already had that episode.
If
Just
you
give
don't
me
know
the
what we're
poem.
talking about, just go listen to the first
If
episode.
you haven't heard
You'll
the
know.
first episode, just give me the poem. And we also have merchandise that says just give me the poem. On so go check that out as well. We have t-shirts and other things that you can have to support, as well as to also, you know, for whatever reason people actually get like shirts and stuff. You know, you want to communicate with your attire. But I will say throughout this event, I have seen some people, period. I have seen a range of people and their characters, and it frustrates me not to see their characters, but when you have to be subjected to it. Now, this is what I'm talking about. When you are speaking about yourself, and you're speaking about yourself as a writer, the work that you have created throughout years, and I mean, I guess this would go more towards people that actually have more in there. It's not a new person thing. Actually, I'm going to go to a different one. There we go. Let me not go to that one. I'm going to go to a different one, which is one that you referred to, which is when someone asks you, "Are you a writer? Are you a poet?" Please say yes. If you have written any type of poem, if you have in the last 5 years, please just say yes. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I like writing. Like you you know that you have written it. Is that right? I don't even know. But you know that you have the words on paper, in your phone, wherever. Just say yes. I hate, like, I am so frustrated with the the response, you know, and then that be the ones that actually pull out like, this is what I wrote, and then it's like a spectacular piece, and it's like, oh yeah, I also have this one. Okay, and it's a spectacular piece, and then also I wrote a book and I published it. What? Who you wrote? You published a book, and I asked you, "Are you a poet? Are you a writer?" And you said, I don't know." And they have the book in their purse. They have the book on them right now in their bag, and that happened to me more than once at the event as well as before. It's like, be a writer. Be a writer. Don't maybe writer. No. Own it. Own it. Understand that it is not everyone just can't pick up a pen and write words and write what they feel, write what they and express what they are feeling inside. That's not, or create things, create worlds. Everyone can't do that. So you should own it. Own it confidently. Say that you are a writer. I say fake it till you make it. Dara has something to say about this. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I agree with you because I tend to tell people to claim it. And as part of Kevin Powell's writing workshop, which I am a part of, that is our mantra. He always starts everything with "I am a writer," and so that's the thing. Like, you have to own it, right? But I think there's more to it than. As I listen to you, and I mean, remember, we were both tag teaming people like, own this. But I think I wonder. I'm interested and intrigued by why is it that people don't feel agency to claim it?
Yeah, I wonder too.
Because I think, I mean, I think some people think that writing means doing it as a full-time gig, or with a lot more devotion to it, or they haven't had people, or they're too busy listening to the negative feedback in their own minds to believe and own that they are that. So while, yes, I completely agree that they should just own their title, I also feel like the whole sector is too populated, and I still don't want less people to just claim it, because in that way, there's less people we fighting against. That's a whole different conversation. But
Dara.
but
Generally
speaking, I think people should. I think the arts. I think the issue is bigger than individuals. I think it's a societal issue where we don't qualify. We don't appreciate the art. Or arts, generally speaking. Remember, anytime you cut budgets, the first budget to cut is arts. Mm-hmm. So I think people don't really feel the value of writing. But everything you see includes writing.
Yeah.
Somebody had to write the memo for that thing. Somebody had to write the copy for that thing. Somebody had to write the post. There's people. I mean, I was approached about a possible job recently that was just straight writing the comments on, and I mean, that's now a job, to write the comments on social media.
Yeah.
Like that's a, maybe not, I don't know if it's a career at that point, but it is a real legit job, and it was for a real legit company that probably would have paid lots of money because they real,
that's a copyright, right?
Yeah, it's a copyright job.
I mean, you can do it digitally too. Yeah.
So, but that's like everything. So those words that we seem to ignore are our words, and somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I think people need to really just reshape their view on what being an artist means.
Mm-hmm.
And value art differently. I mean, I literally wrote to somebody today. I can't even say it because I'm gonna get fired if I say it. So I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay.
I was just talking about 9-to-5s and careers and stuff.
Gotcha.
But just like, what would a life of being a real writer, not a real writer, but solely a writer, would look like if you got paid correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot don't get paid correctly, and that's all parts of the problem, right?
Well, I mean, it's all about. I mean, it's all about sales, I guess. That's how you get paid correctly. I mean, you can't just get paid for writing something that
it's not just sales.
Are you talking about writer as in a book, or are you talking about writer as in just any writer in general?
Well, I mean, yes, for all of it, it's true. Where
Yeah.
it's not just sales; it's about people who co-sign the craft
Mm-hmm.
and the gatekeepers of where the money is.
Yeah.
So unless you are connected, however you're connected, you're not. It's
Yeah.
that's essentially the point. Is that unless you're connected, there's not a lot of money to be had, even though there is money to be had within it.
Gotcha.
Um, so that's
So
that.
so so I want to just change mine from a frustration to a motivation. Okay, it's to claim it. Okay,
Okay.
stop saying maybe a writer and claim it. Okay. So what is your frustration?
So it was something I heard, and it's something that just always bothers me. I guess I heard it during this event. So we got to do more events because they just feed our conversation,
They
right?
do.
Um, but someone has said that the performances were great, but the poets weren't particularly nice to each other. And I kind of felt that in my soul when I was told that yesterday. And um and I think generally speaking, like, so here's, I have a lot of different thoughts and feelings, right? Generally speaking about art, right? I'm gonna sound real elitist for a second. Just rock with me or don't, whatever. I, from an educator perspective, believe in all arts being something that people can use
Mhm.
to really express, explore, develop whatever they need to do for themselves. I do not think that everyone is at a caliber to really profit off of it. And
Yeah.
since a lot of people jump in, and as much as, yes, like the individual, the independent publishing places that exist out there make it easier for those who are prohibited by gatekeepers, it also now becomes flooded.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I think there's like, I in some ways I wish people knew their lanes. I know I am not some, I'm not these people yet. I'm not up there with Nikki Giovanni yet. I'm not these people that everyone knows. I'm not a professor of poetry other than through our school, where
Mhm.
we are not professors, but we use the term because of the theme of the school that which we started, right?
Mhm.
Um, I know that I could win a Brio, but I know I'm not going to be your laureate, not yet.
Mhm.
Anything's possible, right? As I continue to work on my skill, as things continue to develop, as my profile goes up. But I know my lanes. I know where I'm home when I'm performing. I know where I'm stretching when I'm performing, and I know where some goals could possibly be if I wanted to get there, right? Like, you have to be realistic about that. I think some people are not. But I
Yeah.
think and so I think that also makes this elitist thing. I'm here for you. If you want to do this, your poem could be the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm not going to tell that to your face. I may not necessarily be like advocating for you when someone asks for a poet, because if I have to put my name behind you, I'll put my name behind people who are winning. But I will support you using the craft to express yourself.
Yeah.
And the fact is that someone else probably does need to hear it. So that's great. I remember I was helping this one person with her book, and this is years ago at this point, and I wish she had talked to me more, because I could not put my name behind her book because there were so many typos, there were so many things that were wrong. But when you get past the millions of errors in it, the
Mhm.
story was important, and the story was something that someone else has gone through and probably needed to hear.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking anyone where they are in their craft. I think everyone needs to do better by their craft. You never stop. Like you said, like it's a step. You never stop. Keep
Mhm.
learning, keep growing, keep stretching, I mean, when we were talking about to people about Poetics U over the weekend, I was saying, like, so we've had 16-year-olds, we've had 65-plus-year-olds, we have had professors, we have people
Mhm.
who are just writing their first poems,
Yeah.
and everybody learns something because of how we do it with the school, right? But so, like, always develop your craft. But also, as you reach your milestones and get higher and better, understand you don't have to crap on the person below you. You don't have to be elitist. We all family. We all out here trying to do something with the skill that we've been given. If you were given a gift of words, then you honor your gift of words. And you know what? I see another poet, then I see you. You're not competition to me. And I'm not saying that in a way that like I'm better than you. My audience will find me. Your audience will find you.
Yeah.
It was very easy at points to have been there and looked at your table and look at my table and see the crowd that was around your table and the people who weren't around my table, right?
Yeah.
But you were performing. You had your performers performing. You were outgoing. You were doing this thing to grab people over. I am an introvert. There's no way I could turn it on enough to compete with what you were doing at your table. And so I could sit here and be like, how dare they be doing, like, and be like, oh, how many sales he doing over there? I don't care how many sales you got. Did we ever have that conversation? Did we ever ask? No. It was more about like, did you get sales today? Yes. You felt good about what you did? Wonderful. The only person we're competing with is ourselves. We're at a poetry festival. Everyone got a poetry book. What makes your poetry book different?
Yeah.
It's not about, but and like we still support each other. Like while I'm selling, I bought 3 books, and what was fascinating to me, and I said it to you, that this is the one event that I didn't see vendors buying from other vendors to the same extent.
Yeah.
I usually see at some point vendors sort of go around and see what everyone else has and talk and do whatever, or at least network. So there was one vendor who was a small publishing company, and he was doing the same exact thing as you. And then I gave him a secret to your sauce. I didn't tell him what to do about how to bring people to the table, but I was like, he was like, well, I couldn't put my own book out there. And I was like, you see that book in the middle of that table? It's his. And he's supporting his authors. You can both support yourself and other authors while you're doing the daggone thing. But he was so humble not to do it, right? He didn't want to be centered. And I was like, it's not about being centered, but like, you can sell your stuff and everyone else's simultaneously. Another poet, the same one, Scott, whose book I bought yesterday, he had another person's book on the table that who he was part of, because of someone. I recognize the book because I know it. I don't own it, but I know the project and the book in which it was in, right? So like, you can support each other, because the only way we make money is, even if you can't buy it, then you go, do you want to swap?
Yeah.
So that you do a close to, and if your book costs more, then the other person just pays the difference. If that's what you want to do, right? Like, support each other, because we already know the rest of the community the rest of the world don't necessarily appreciate the arts. Again, it's the first place that gets cut. So we need to be supporting each other. Just think about rent parties. You had a rent party. Do you know about rent parties, Tony?
Nope, not at all.
Rent.
I was going to just let you go, and I was going to try to find identifiers and try to close the gaps.
So,
like, is there rent? Is money being paid? Okay. So people giving money? Okay. So it's a party to pay that rent. Okay. Gotcha.
There you go. You figured it out. So this is a big phenomena that was happening, I want to say, during the Harlem Renaissance, that when somebody couldn't pay their rent, everybody went to that apartment. They had a party. You paid the party, and then you would cover that person's rent. And then, Jane down the block don't have her rent. Everybody go to her house, have the party, pay the rent. So that, like, it was a community supporting each other. So you all having a good time partying, but the funds that are being raised is supporting each other. So just like Black Wall Street succeeding because the money stayed in the community.
Yeah.
We need to support each other as artists. We need to be nice to each other. We need to, like, you never know. I didn't know who was going to be at this event. I didn't sit there and publicize that I was going to be there. I knew some people would, but did I expect to see Ancient Mariner there? I did not expect to see it, which was stupid of me. But I was so hyped when I saw Ancient Mariner have his own event there, right?
Yeah.
Because he's an amazing writer. Yeah. And so having the Ancient Mariner there, having J.P. Howard there, and us all being in the same place that Terrence Hayes is at, right?
Yeah.
Like, we need to be supporting each other, networking each other, getting to know each other, reviewing each other's books. Like I appreciated Mercy talking about she would read it and review it,
Yeah,
because we
that's an
need to
important.
we need to like that's what I use the Black Authors Collaborative page for. I'm not doing a particularly a great job of it because I want to read the books before I post it. But like, so her will probably be the next one, but hers already on my page, so I have to figure out how to do that. But like, but like it's like me using that platform to big up other people.
Yeah.
Because then you're known for doing that. And we should not, you get to choose who you are. You get to be the person who's not nice to other poets. You get your reputation tied to that. You get to be the person who is nice to other poets, and you get the reputation tied to that.
Mm-hmm.
And people will and won't want to work with you for that purpose. But if you're showing up places and you're friendly to people and you just say hey and hug them real quick fast, or you pound them, or you ear wave or hug because of COVID, whatever that is, if you're not, you need to be nice to other people, because there's reputations that develop. And there was a poet there yesterday that I was speaking to. I told them how much I love them and how much I appreciate everything they're doing with their craft and what they do for the community. And then we had a conversation about someone who seems to be problematic in the community. So clearly this person has a reputation because of how they treated the both of us.
Yeah.
And we're not the only ones that were treated that way. So eventually it ain't gonna go well for them if all the people around them are saying, you had that problem with that person too? Great. Good to know. So be nice to each other, support each other. We are the ones who are going to keep our rent paid. We are the ones that are going to keep money in our community.
Yeah.
Even if you can't afford it, ask about a book swap. If people are down, swap the book, because you know what? Another reader is another picture, another hand that your book is in, is not a stock image you had to pay for. It's not a mock thing that people can look at and be like, okay, that's a mock image. It is me holding your book going, see?
I have
so
it. Yep.
Do that.
The other thing about that is supporting each other does not mean click. That's one of the other things or frustrations that actually occur in the community. But we already did two. So that's gonna be my next one.
But now you started it. So here's the thing though. Clicks are great for you. The people who are iron sharpens iron. If you got a click that's sharpening your iron and you sharpening them, roll with them.
Yeah.
But don't be exclusive, separatist, and like we just gonna come and run the whole mic and it's about us now. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's all if you gotta love everybody.
I remember it was actually at one of the people that we know event, and there was the features, or one of the features was one of these individuals or poets, and after they were done, the whole group went out of the event and was talking outside, and it was like, yo, like you're not there only for the event, you're there for the community as well. So now you just took 7 people out of the crowd, and now you guys are just talking outside, and it was really disrespectful, because it was kind of like you can see it, and those things, like when you support people, everyone, I feel, in the creative field or creative community is on the same team. So you have your group or your people that are your ride or die, but you should also be communicating, that you're there as a group, you're there supporting the community, not only yourselves. And it was apparent that, even other events and things like that, you could see that it was only that group of people that would be supported, and then after that it's like, oh, it's bounced.
Yeah, it's a problem. But like, I try to tell my people to stay for a while if they can, or come early.
Yeah.
When I have events, even if they can't stay the whole time, I purposefully, unless I really can't, I almost are always there to the end.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm always there to the end, so I don't even. They'll be like, yo, I gotta go. Okay,
I mean, I walk out, say goodbye to my friend who came to see me because I want to acknowledge that they came and
That they
saw
came.
me. I
Yeah.
take a photo with them. We say thank you so much. Have that little goodbye hug. So, like, I will say after a performance, I may dip in and out quite frequently for a little bit as people start leaving, but I am there until it is over.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
usually in the room as much as I can be because it's just rude.
Yeah.
You're not the only star out there, and people see that. And when you do that, people see it,
Yeah.
and it impacts your reputation or your invites. So
Exactly. So
that said,
hopefully you guys learn something from the frustrations. The frustrations are not there to just like bad mouth people. It's actually there to learn. So hopefully you learned that you need to be confident with saying that you're a writer. You also need to support people. And then also don't be clicky. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is announcements. Dara, do you have anything up and coming for that we need to share?
I mean, it depends when you listen to this, but on August 6th, I'm doing a birthday book and bottle event on Zoom.
Birthday books and bottles.
So I will be discussing my book to Still Laughing. I don't remember what it was. I'll be doing Still Laughing, where we will talk about laughing through whatever that comes our way.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so that's coming up. There's a Zoom, there's an invite. Check my social medias. The links are everywhere.
Go
That's the
support
main
that.
thing that's coming up. But in September, I'm also actually another vendor since we're talking about vending, because that's been a big part of our theme today.
Mm-hmm.
There's an event in New Jersey. Oh wait, that's not September. That's October. Is this September, October? It's one of those 2 months.
One
September,
of them.
October,
Stay tuned.
fall.
Stay tuned. You'll hear it.
Fall, Sisters in Business Expo is happening. So Sisters in Business Expo is actually happening in Maryland um, on August 7th. That I do know for a fact.
Okay.
Saturday, August 7th is happening in Maryland. I'm not going to be there this time. I haven't been to the Maryland one yet. I will probably try to go next year. I have gone to the Philly and I have gone to the Jersey. So Philly happened 2 weeks ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is Maryland, but I will be at the Jersey one, which is this fall.
Okay.
So it's a Sisters in Business Expo where sisters in business ex- show off their work.
What? What's wrong? She was like lost for words,
I was gonna
sisters.
say expose their businesses.
Exposed. Oh wow! Don't say
And I was like,
that.
that's not
They
exactly what I want
exposed
to say.
at the expo. They exposed their business.
For you
Okay.
to support them.
Yeah.
We're
Support
talking
each
about
other.
we're talking about
Support
gravity, and now we're talking about exposing
support
business. It's
each
not easy
other.
to say. Yeah. So
Exposing.
just look for Sisters in Business Expo, generally speaking, because that will be a dope event in which to support. There's
Yeah.
DJs. There's a Real Housewife, not from the Potomac, but there's a Real Housewife I think from Atlanta. I don't know the Real Housewife shows, but I know there's a Real Housewife that's actually focused, that's doing the Maryland one, and I know it's
Okay.
not Potomac County, even though Potomac County is in Maryland.
Got you.
I'm
Yeah,
not part of that.
enough said.
But there is a Real Housewife that does it. They've managed to have a lot of good stars, and generally speaking, there's a sisters shop in Elizabeth, New Jersey, in the mall, so you can still buy Black-owned businesses. You can still support Black-owned businesses there because they have their stuff in the store.
Okay. Great. So I don't think I have anything up and coming. This was the end of this month was everything I had scheduled. Have books coming out for the in the 2i publishing company, but
You're eating that. What was that? You have books
oh,
coming out.
sorry, I
Live
have books
publishing.
coming out. Yeah, sorry, I was talking. I have books coming out. Yeah, and throughout this whole year, we
And you also
have.
just dropped some books with
Yeah,
Carla
Carla
Cherry.
Cherry. Yeah, Carla M. Cherry, the Carla M. Cherry collection. She has 5 books with us, and they're all amazing. The covers are just amazing, if I can say so myself.
I
And how
wonder why they're amazing. Because it could be that you did them.
I can't co-sign for that, but whoever A lot of people co-signed for it at the event, so I'm just going to leave it there because I'm humble. Okay.
There's gonna be a new song by him because it's just something he keeps telling himself
Humble.
that no one else may or may not believe. But
Humble.
that said, we yeah, people did stop and recognize some of the books on the table simply because of the artwork on it. So
Yeah.
get your books done by 2i Publishing.
Doing covers.
Um,
Not yet.
not yet. I just said your books.
It's
We're not
coming
there
soon.
yet. We're
It's
not there
coming
yet.
soon.
So that said, what do we got to do
Okay.
next? You're about to torture me now, right?
So
Is that what's
now
happening?
it's a poet's favorite time, unless you're Dara.
There's some
It's
others who hate
off.
it too.
It's top of the dome.
Top
My
of the
man. Top of dome.
dome.
Dome. And that is where we take words from that we actually have. Oh, sorry, 5 words, random words from today's podcast, plus the word of the episode, and we do an impromptu poem, and we see what happens when words turn into words, and words become words. This is just words within words. This is an inception. So our words for today, of course, we have the word desiccate.
What does desiccate mean again?
Now you have me scrolling. Uh, desiccate means to dry up or become dry, to preserve, as in food, by drying, to drain or to drain of emotional or intellectual vitality. So this may desiccate me. But masculinity is the next word. Restaurant is the other word. 6 is the next word. Vend and also expose. So we have masculinity, restaurant, 6, vend, expose.
You're going first.
Do with this. So I'll go first. My heart lay desiccated of all that I once knew. The liquid that you used to bestow upon me has now vanished, evaporated, became cumulus clouds that rain down on my masculinity, challenging if I was still man or not. If I still had purpose or not. The tears fell cold, but hitting my skin, they were hot. Acidic rain poured down and drained, and I tried to take memories and moments and place them in a pot to try to cook something like that dish that was from our favorite restaurant. Did you forget, or have I forgot the recipe? Because it only took 6 days, 6 ingredients in this recipe to make me forget that you mattered. That my thoughts in your heart were scattered and never connected. I tried to vend and let you sell me what you had within, but no. The only thing that I bought was the end. Left with a broken heart. You and I, farther apart, because I never wanted to expose my insecurities. A tragic plot. The end.
I'm just mad that you start smiling after that. He's like, and I'm smiling. We're happy.
Ah,
I don't like you. I'm just gonna say this every time we record this.
no, you're not.
I don't like you.
Eventually, it won't.
No, I will always not like you for this
The
horrible form of
segment
torture.
inside of your.
It's
Just give
terrible.
me the
It's
poem.
horrible. You can't call me out for stalling just because I'm trying to like think about words and think about what I can do.
Just give me the poem.
You
Just give
know
me the poem.
what? I'm gonna give you the poem, darn it. You're not gonna like it when I'm done giving it to you. So
And then the way she said it too, I'm like, hold up, where's she going with
if
this?
you saw his face, if you could see
Masculinity
his
is
face,
here.
his eyes popped out of his head as I said that statement. So that said, I'm gonna see what I can do. They say we have five senses. That there's only five senses, but I sense a sixth within me. And maybe it's the opposite of the femininity, but the masculinity that was exposed and told not to exist because that is not how women do this. They are not allowed to be loud or to be harsher or to just speak up. And I couldn't deal with that. So I tried to find other ways to tap into that spirit in which I feel within me, the sixth of the senses, that masculinity just kept calling to me. But society said skirts. Society said heels and bags and long hair and earrings and lipstick and makeup. But I kept saying, no, that is not femininity. That's just a cover up we've put on this. This is something that you have put out to vend to those of us who have to spend, but that is not what we have ever wanted to depend upon. It is not the food we want to eat in the restaurants. Don't feed me your conceptions of my gender or sexuality because you feel the need to say how I must be. This is not how we must be. But yet, even as I try to feed my own soul from the wells of purity and health and healing, I still find myself being desiccated because society says that part of you must be removed. Yeah, that's where I can go. I was trying to find that last word.
Like after you get done with the words, you don't have to continue any longer.
I was trying to like,
Snap,
I
snap.
was like emasculated wasn't the word I was trying to find, but it was like a word.
Yo, so if you want to take the challenge and do the 5 words, please do post a video of you actually taking this challenge and doing the top of the dome for this week or this
And it's got
episode.
to be top of the dome. Don't just write the poem and then do it.
Yeah,
It's
it
going to
has to
see
be top of the
you.
dome.
If you just listen to me try to pull that off with ridiculous words such as desiccate, masculinity, restaurant, six, vend, and expose, I want to see
So,
you try this.
so the words will be in the comments. So please do post. We want to see you. We want to see you actually try to take this challenge. It's something that sharpens your pen as well as your mind. I used to do it at my work. At an open mic that I curated. And it was called Word Vomit appropriately. And it was we used to get 10 words from the audience when we started off, and then it was called the 10-word vomit. And we just let it out, undigested, let the words speak for themselves and speak out of you. So yeah, this is a little exercise that can
That he
help
likes
you.
to torture me with.
I torture everyone with. We also have a poetics 8, which is 8 words, random words that
But
we
they at least
as a
when
prompt.
we do Poetics 8, they don't have to do it off the top
They
of
don't
their
have to do it
head
off the
if
top.
they're
Yeah,
writing
yeah,
a poem.
yeah.
They have time.
These are more
This is
word
this
vomit.
is this is like words that have come out in this conversation that we have been saying this whole time, and he has decided that we must torture Dara with and make a poem out of. So let me know if the poem was even at all decent, because I'm not convinced. But Tony was looking real hard, so I'm assuming maybe I was doing something right,
I
and I
was
could not
like,
find that last word.
you got it. You were like struggling at first, and then you was like, okay. I was trying to figure out where you were going. Then I'm like, okay, now I see where she's going. It was when you started saying society says skirts. I was like, oh, that's good. It did. Society says heels. Like that was the good part. I was like, okay, she got it now. But yeah, great. Please drop comments. Let us know. Hit the subscribe button, of course, if you haven't already on our podcast, and so that you always are plugged in and hear when we and don't miss a word. So we want to thank you for listening to Word2Wordz. This is the Poets Podcast. We are two poets that come together and we share our love for words. And this episode was made possible by Dainty. So please go and tea to your taste. It'll make a total different, like your taste buds will be like, okay, I can taste ginger in this recipe. Like you will be able to identify like how things taste. So please go support them. Not only just support them, but also if you're a tea lover, you're getting quality, quality stuff there. Loose leaf that comes from quality distributors. So please do go get a tea kit and start blending and mixing and matching. The theme today, the theme song, if you started at the beginning, was brought to you by the skill of Eric Ty Sky, the DJ White. Shout out to him. That's a heck of a name too. But
He's super dope. He's a friend of mine through an organization we're both part of, but he's also like a great DJ, and this was his original music that he's been kind enough to share with us and allow us to use for the theme song for the show. So thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Now we are your hosts. I'm Tony Two Eyes, the Entreprepoet.
And I'm Dara Kalima, the community poet.
And if you ever want to participate, you ever want to share your poems or you want to try any of the things that we have shared here, frustrations, you want to give some words of wisdom, or you want to, like tell us about a poet that needs to be highlighted in our show, or if you want to tell us what is inspiring your pen, please do let us know, and we will gladly let your voice be heard here on the show as well. So please go to our website as well. We have word2words.com, and you can listen there, or you can listen at any podcast streaming service. We are on Google, Spotify. If you also use Anchor.
Anywhere you listen to your apps, your past podcasts, we're at. So just go to your podcast deliverer of choice and listen, or find us on YouTube, because we will also air it so you can see us if you want to see that. I don't know if that's what you want to see, but we're there too.
Okay, well, my tongue is kind of desiccated from talking all of this time. So until next month, happy writing.